Hey guys, this is a story about the tortoise and the hare, and it is an example of a fable. So I want you to hear it and think about the conflicts that happen and then the solution at the end, okay? And think the whole time, what is the moral of the story? Like, what's the lesson that we learn from this story, okay? Because that's the whole point in a fable, okay? Here we go. The tortoise and the hare. Hare was a swift and speedy creature. He could easily hop circles around many animals. Compared to Hare, Pokey Tortoise was the slowest of all. One brisk autumn morning, Hare came racing up to Tortoise and skidded suddenly to a stop. He began to make fun of Tortoise. "You have short feet and a slow pace," said Hare unkindly. "That may be true," answered Tortoise cheerfully, "but even though you are as swift as the wind, I can still easily beat you in a race." Hare laughed so wildly that he had to stop and gasp for breath. He then challenged Tortoise to a race the very next day. Tortoise accepted immediately, and they agreed to meet promptly at noon by a huge old oak tree. The next day, animals lined up both sides of the road to watch the race. Tortoise and the hare stepped up to the starting line. When Fox blew the whistle to signal the start of the race, Hare took off so fast he looked like a furry blur. Tortoise began to move slowly and steadily in his usual plodding way. The animals looked at each other and thought, "There is no way Tortoise will ever win." Far ahead, Hare laughed triumphantly. "You'll never beat me," he boasted loudly. Hare was so sure he was going to win, he decided he had time to stop by a peaceful pond and rest in the shade of the tall grass. With an overconfident smile on his whiskered face, he fell asleep. Tortoise, meanwhile, continued to plod slowly along. Step by step he traveled the racing path. Eventually, steady Tortoise passed the hare, who was snoring loudly. Some time later, a dragonfly landed on Hare's nose and startled him awake. He leapt up and turned his head quickly from side to side. Suddenly his ears stood straight up and his mouth dropped wide open. He couldn't believe it. Tortoise was nearing the finish line. Hare began to sprint after Tortoise as fast as he could. His heart raced and his muscles ached from running so fast, but he could not catch Tortoise in time. Tortoise smiled happily as he stepped over the finish line. He had won. He waited patiently for Hare to reach the end, then politely shook his paw. Hare learned a valuable lesson that day. Slow and steady wins the race.